So, if you run a business, you've heard it a million times, right? Go cashless. It's the future. It's faster, cleaner, simpler. Well, maybe. Today we're going to follow the money and really dig into the hidden costs behind every single tap, swipe, and dollar bill you accept.
And that brings us to the big question. It feels like going cashless is just the obvious, modern thing to do. But when you really get down to the brass tacks and look at your bottom line, is it actually the cheapest way to go? The data suggests the answer is, well, a whole lot more complicated than you think.
And look, on the surface, I get it. The choice seems like a no-brainer. Cash feels kind of clunky, risky, a bit of a relic. And cashless, oh, that's simple, modern, convenient. But these are just feelings, just perceptions. And they're hiding a much, much more complex economic reality. This quote from Bassam Styrier just hits the nail on the head. The decision isn't about jumping on a trend or following headlines. It's a serious economic choice that directly impacts your profit margins. So let's peel back those layers and see what's really going on under the hood. All right, let's start by doing what they always say, follow the money. When your customer taps their card, it looks like this instant, magical moment. But in reality, that little tap is kicking off a journey down a very long, very winding road. And you better believe there are toll booths at every single turn.
And this is where it gets wild. What's fascinating is just how many hands are in the pot for one simple transaction. The customer taps, and a signal zips from your bank to a processor, across a network like Visa, all the way to the customer's bank, and then all the way back again. And here's the kicker, every single one of those players takes a slice of your sale.
And here's exactly how they do it. That fee you see isn't just one thing. It's made up of at least 3 parts. There's the network's assessment fee, your own bank's markup, and then the big one, the interchange fee. That chunk of change goes straight to your customer's bank, and it is almost always the biggest piece of the pie.
Of course, the card network itself plays a huge role in what you pay. Here in the US, Visa and MasterCard basically have a duopoly. They process the overwhelming majority of transactions. And when you have that kind of market power, your fee structures pretty much become the standard for everybody else.
Now, check this out. This is one of the biggest hidden costs that catches businesses off guard. When a customer pays with their fancy rewards card to get airline miles or cash back, ever wonder who's paying for those perks? Spoiler alert, it's you. Merchants get hit with higher interchange fees on those transactions specifically to fund those rewards. And just when you think you've got a handle on it, the complexity keeps piling on. The final fee you pay can change based on the card type, whether it's an online payment or in person, how big your business is, and even the bizarre pricing model your processor uses. It's a constantly moving target, which makes trying to budget for it an absolute nightmare. So after all that chaos and complexity with card fees, you'd be forgiven for thinking that cash must be even more of a headache, right? That's what everyone assumes. But for a lot of businesses, the exact opposite is true. This finding from the Kansas City Fed is an absolute bombshell. It completely flips the whole script on what we think is cheaper. In the US, just one piece of that card fee, the interchange, can cost a business more than every single expense tied to handling physical cash combined.
So, here's the crucial point. We're not comparing apples to apples here. We're talking about 2 totally different kinds of costs. Cashless costs are transactional, and they're variable. Every sale chips away a percentage, and it's almost impossible to predict. Cash costs, those are operational and fixed. They're part of your overhead.
Now, look, let's be real. Nobody is saying cash is free. Of course not. You've got real costs, from armored trucks and getting change, to the labor of counting tills and the risk of theft. But here's the key difference. These are predictable. These are operational expenses you can actually plan for and build into your budget, which is a luxury you just don't have with those wild swinging card fees.
Okay, so we have the unpredictable world of cards and the predictable world of cash. But what if there was a third way? What if you could step outside that whole system and create your very own payment universe with your own rules? Well, that brings us to our third model, the closed-loop system. So what is a closed-loop system? The best way to think about it is like a walled garden for money. It's a private little ecosystem where one company controls absolutely everything. Customers load money into the system, and that money can only be spent inside those walls. And this is where you really see the power of that idea. With open-loop systems like Visa, they work everywhere, but you're paying fees to all those middlemen. In a closed loop, like the Starbucks app, it only works at Starbucks, but they've cut out all those middlemen. That means their fees are drastically lower, and, this is huge, they get to own all of the customer spending data. Oh, and I guarantee you have used these systems, maybe without even realizing it. The Starbucks app is a classic example, but so are Disney's Magic Bands, those university ID cards kids use for everything on campus, or even the Oyster card for the London Underground. They all create this super seamless, totally controlled experience within their own little world.
But, it's not a silver bullet. You're making a big trade-off. The pros are massive, way lower fees, insane customer loyalty, and a goldmine of data. But the cons are real too. The customer's money is trapped in your world, which is less flexible for them, and the upfront cost to build this thing can be pretty high. It's a huge strategic choice between total control and universal convenience.
Okay, let's pull all of this together. We've got unpredictable card fees, predictable cash costs, and this high-control world of closed loops. So how on earth do you choose? Well, the truth is, there is no single best answer. The right strategy is the one that is tailor-made for your specific business. And this quote right here just sums up the entire mindset perfectly. This isn't just about what's trendy or what you think customers want in the moment. This is a hardcore financial decision that directly impacts your profitability and your margins for the long haul.
So, to make this super practical, let's just look at this checklist. It's a great way to think about where your business fits. If your average sale is low and your main goal is predictable costs, cash might be your strongest play. If you need to serve absolutely everyone and maximize how many people can pay you, then open-loop cards are essential. But if your whole game is about building loyalty and gathering data from a dedicated customer base, a closed-loop system is almost unbeatable.
At the end of the day, there's no other business out there that's exactly like yours. You have a unique mix of customers, goals, and challenges. So I'll leave you with this one question. You've worked so hard to build a unique business. Isn't it time you had a payment strategy that's just as unique?